around 2018? God, it's 2018, my goodness. With my friend Josh Williamson.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm exhausted. I'm really tired. Last night, Tom King and I were up. I'm on name drop because it's a true story. We were literally up at like 3 in the morning eating French fries while sitting on the street like a pair of homeless people. So they're chilling. At one point, he was like, "You know, there's couches in the hotel, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever."
Were they good French fries?
Yeah, they were good. They were good. But then we both realized like we had something to do today, and we're like, "Oh no, we gotta go." But yeah.
So you are at issue 50, what, of The Flash now? 6?
Yeah, 56 is coming out next. Yeah, I mean, I'm further out. Like, I'm writing 70 this week, but, you know, I really do plan a lot of stuff really far in advance. Like, I know the last page of issue 81. Like, that's where how I work.
Are you gunning for 100?
Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, I have the story to do it. I know all the story beats, but, you know, who knows what could happen, but they know, I know, like, we have a plan, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping, though.
You heard it here first. 100 issues guaranteed. So, no, you know, you're right in The Flash, and The Flash has been such a central character of Rebirth. Both Barry and Wally, and now we see Bart coming back. There's been so much sort of Flash resurgence in the last couple of years. I know the Flash character you've always wanted to write. We've talked about that in the past. What have you done with Barry that you feel like is the most important thing you've given to Barry since taking over?
A personality.
Good answer.
I love him though, and I know I think he gets a bum rap in the past. You know, I think there was a lot of time people thought that he wasn't the kind of character that had like a lot of personality, but he did have personality. But I think it got lost along the way in some ways. I'll go back and read those stories, and he had a lot of personality, a lot of character. But I think what happened was, and this is the thing I want to explore with him a lot, is I think there were a lot of times people would like what happened was Mark Waid started writing Barry from Wally's POV, right? Where it was like Wally always looked up to Barry, saw him as his idol, and he was this perfect person, and no one ever speaks ill of the dead, and he sacrificed himself to save the multiverse. Everyone started to sort of see him in this way, and Wally always looked up to him, right? And I think after that, once you get around like Return of Barry Allen and some of the stories in there, I think everyone, like you get to like JLA Year One, Brave and the Bold, those are all Mark Waid stories. I think everyone started writing Barry still from Wally's POV.
Everybody treated him as a martyr.
Yeah. Even when you were doing a story that took place in the past, people wrote him in this very honorific way. And I think that's actually not real to the character. But I think he knows that now, and it's impossible to live up to those expectations. Yeah. And he's constantly trying to. And so that's a lot of that I'm trying to explore his character. And really get him to a place where I think he is where people want him to be, but I want to earn it. Right. I don't want to just say it. We want to earn it. So I think that's the stuff I feel like I brought to the character. And we've tried to add the mythology and build on it, and really build on the relationships between him and Wally, and him and Wallace, and build a relationship between him and Eobard. So there's really a lot of pieces that we're trying to just build on mythology, but also build on those relationships, so they're not just like, because sometimes in comics I think we're just told, right? Like Batman and Superman, we're kind of told a lot of times they're best friends, right? And it's interesting, in some dynamics, you could argue they're best friends because they're the most, you know, Scott can come through.
Say that about Multiversity again.
Brian, can I?
Sure.
I'm late to meet Doyle. I'll see you.
Okay, I'll text you later.
A little surprise drop in by Scott Snyder there.
So, where was? Oh, so I think it's like this thing where sometimes people are like, "Oh, Batman and Superman are best friends because they're the most popular characters," right? It's
exactly,
like it's a weird meta answer, but a lot of people have done work to work on that relationship, so you see why they're friends. I wanted to do that with the Flash family and the Flash mythology, is continue to build on those characters and continue to build the relationships and show why they're a family. And that's another thing too. When I got the job, a lot of people were like, "Well, bring back the Flash family, bring back the Flash family." And I'm like, that was a Wally thing. That wasn't a Barry thing. Right. You know, even when Jeff brought him back, that was part of the story, was that he wasn't the family man. You know, and it was a lot of pressure on him. Whereas, and that was a Wally thing. Like Wally built the family. Right. So, you know, I want to show that and work on it, and just continue to build that.
Absolutely. Let's shift over to Justice League Odyssey for a second. It's brand new. First issue just came out, and it was delayed a little bit because of reasons.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, exactly. But you have this team that, you know, has a bit of New Teen Titans in there with Cyborg and Starfire. It has a little of the Bat family with Azrael. It has Darkseid. It's this crazy concept. Did you have the idea first and then build the team around that, or did you say I want to use these characters and then found a story that fit those characters?
I mean, we had a lot of meetings about that book and a lot of conversations about the characters and sort of building that dynamic. And we kept, because that's the thing, when you build a team book, you want to make sure the characters can bounce off each other and you get story from them bouncing off each other. With that, we knew there was a lot of story coming out of No Justice and Metal that we wanted to play with. And so then it became a matter of like, we have all these big plot beats we want to do. Which characters are going to be interesting to write, reacting to what, right? So I started building this. The two that I always knew we were going to have was Cyborg and Starfire. Those are the two I was going to get. Eventually, we started talking about a Green Lantern. I asked for Jessica.
Nice.
Like, it was either Kyle or Jessica. And I really was like, can I have Jessica? I think she's a cool character. I think she'd be interesting to work with on this. I liked what Sam had done and what Tim Seeley had done and what Jeff had done before that. I thought she was really interesting. Because I really liked her in Jeff's stuff when he was doing Justice League.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, can I bring her in? They said yes. Then I remember being like, and then can I have Azrael, like in space, like a space armor? And I asked this over the phone, and I thought they were going to be like, oh, you're crazy, no, never. And then they were like, yeah, you can do that, that makes sense. And I was like, oh, wait, what? Well, now I got to figure this out. That was just an idea. Now I got to figure out how this is going to work. But he ended up, like, a lot of really big stuff in the book that I love comes out of him being there. Like, it's like some of my favorite parts of the book come from Azrael being there.
I think it's a really inspired and unexpected choice.
Yeah, and with Darkseid, he came around because we were talking a lot about Orion, but we were talking about Orion because we wanted Darkseid. It was this thing of like, we wanted Orion to use this to get the Darkseid, and then at one point, someone was just like, why don't we just use Darkseid then? Let's just cut the thing out. And I was like, well, how does that work? And then we started talking about it, and we're like, well, we understand that he's at a weaker power base right now. We understand he's gone through a lot of changes in the last 2 years. And then it became a conversation of like, well, how do we get him back to being the badass, like, monster god, right. Darkseid is? How do we do that with this version of him? How do we get him there? And it was like, oh, we do it in this book. We show that progression of how to get him back. So that is how that team was built.
That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing where that story goes. We're going to have some fun now. We have 5 rapid-fire questions to end the interview with. Okay. So get your brain jogged and ready to go.
Okay. Well, did you see what we announced today?
I did, and I almost forgot to mention it. Yeah, year 1.
Yeah.
You and Howard Porter.
Yeah.
Happening in the Flash book. Right?
It's in the Flash book. Yeah.
How many issues have there been?
It's 6.
6? When does
it's 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Starts in May.
May? Okay. So
the thing where I think when people get to issue 69 and we're going into the year 1 stuff, you'll see why. Like there is a story plot reason why we're telling that story when we're telling it.
Yeah.
And then you'll see what comes out of it. It'll all add up, and you'll know why it's in the book and why it's important.
Is this the first retelling of the Flash origin in this way in some time, right? It's been a very long time.
We've never really done it. Like, Showcase 4 is really it. Like, no one ever really did it. And remember, by the time they started revisiting Origins in that way, like really revisiting Origins in that way, he was dead.
That's a really good point, yeah.
So when they did, Batman's obviously, and Green Arrow's had one. Even with Superman, when they relaunched and he was able to do Man of Steel with John Byrne, which was very year 1-ish, that's all post Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah. And then Wally gets one because Wally had Born to Run, which was in the Flash title.
Right.
So we've never been really able to do one that is a longer form modern history origin story for Barry. And so we've been building this story idea, and I've wanted to do it since the beginning, and now we get to do it, and Howard's going to draw it, and it's awesome. And we're like super, super excited.
That's so cool. And 6 issues is the perfect length for that kind of story, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think this story we want to tell how big it gets, and I think it's going to take some definitely interesting twists and turns, and it's not going to be exactly what you think it's going to be. I think people are going to be like, oh, I know exactly what that is, and it's like, just read it, and then we'll have this conversation again. So, yeah, you'll see.
I look forward to just reading it.
Yeah, thanks.